Hello, everyone, and thank you all for attending our webinar today on search. The goal of today's webinar is to give all of our users a good understanding of how to use our search functionality to make sure that you guys are using it to the best of your ability and are able to utilize and understand all of our features and mechanisms around search. Um, with me in today's webinar, we have Ian, and he will say hi and introduce himself to you now.
Hey guys, thanks for taking some time out of the afternoon to run through the webinar here. So as Brittany mentioned, I'll be in the backdrop answering some of your questions. So feel free to keep those coming. We will definitely try to pause as we go throughout to make sure we're addressing some questions. And we'll even try to actually broadcast some of those live on the call. So feel free to keep those coming. They're right in the questions section of the GoToWebinar chat box. Thanks.
Awesome. So for today's webinar, we do want to go through just a quick introduction of our search functionality. We will go through how to complete some quick searches in your database to quickly find information, fields, records regarding contacts, companies, and jobs. We then will go into how to perform Boolean operated searches within our database and give you a better understanding on how we are presenting those search results to you. And then later, we're going to go into how to better utilize some of our advanced search mechanisms, as well as allow all of our attendees here to suggest in the questions box area some searches that you tend to perform on a daily basis, and we certainly can walk through how you can complete that today. And then lastly, we will be offering a sneak peek into some new search features that we plan to release for you all pretty shortly here. So that's really exciting. But for now, I think we should dive right in. So everyone's home screen should look fairly similar to what you are seeing now, and you all have a search bar in the top left-hand corner. Now, this will allow you to do a global search across your database to search for contacts, companies, jobs, do a phone number lookup, as well as do a Boolean operated search. Now, for our quick search examples here, if you know of a contact's name, a particular job or a company, and you quickly want to access their record, we always recommend selecting this search bar. It will always be located in the top left-hand corner of your database, regardless of where you are throughout the platform, and you can start typing in those names. Now, if I start off and start typing in Bill, maybe I have a good rapport with someone and I call them Bill, but I brought them in from LinkedIn, and on their LinkedIn profile, it says William. Now, we do have a concept called fuzzy logic and Crelate. And when you type something in, such as Bill, the first results that will populate are all names that start with Bill. However, it will recognize that a similar name to Bill is William, and so underneath that, it will also present names of contacts in your database that start with William as well. This will be the same ones or popular ones like Bob and Robert, etc. Now, a key thing with quick searches is a lot of people are used to searching on platforms such as Google, where you type something in and you have to select enter or go to proceed to the search results. Now, for quick search, to quickly find records in your database, once you start typing, it's going to populate those records that meet the information that you have just entered. You do not need to press enter or go. You just need to type those results in and hover over those records and select them. And that will take you automatically to that particular record within your database. This will also work for phone number lookup. So if someone calls you and you don't know who they are, you can start typing in their phone number and it will populate who that individual is. This functionality will work the same if you put in an email address as well. So those are just how to quickly find records in your database, typing the names of those records in, whether they be contacts, companies, or jobs, and then selecting that record to quickly go to their profile. But one of the more popular ways to run a search in your database is to complete a Boolean operated search. Now, for your Boolean operated searches, for those of you who are not familiar with this term, a Boolean search is a type of search that allows you to combine keywords with modifiers such as and, not, and or. And the goal of this is to produce more relevant results. For example, I'm in a Boolean search. I can say, show me people in my database who have sales or developer on their record. And it's going to present me people in my database who has these terms on their record. However, there's probably a lot of you that say, how are they ranking these individuals? How do they know to put Brian at the top of this search result rather than Tyson or Emily? And so we'll go over this now, and Ian will give you more of an insight into this.
Great, great. Yeah, so for the search term frequency, basically we use something called Elasticsearch to return records based on the best match. So each record in the database is actually scored based on how closely it matches the keywords. So it's kind of three main indicators, the term frequency being the first and foremost. So how many times are those terms, like developer and sales that we just queried for there, how many times are those referenced? That will give you the capability to kind of pull and rank that first. The inverse document frequency is another one that will kind of be the second. Basically, if a keyword is shown up, you see the example of aerospace engineer. Crelate will prioritize the word aerospace, seeing as engineer is probably a more frequently used and referenced term, and aerospace being a little bit more unique. So any other additional references to aerospace will then fall in as a higher tiered ranking. The third and final factor is just a little bit about where the keyword's found. So if it's in the name or the job title, basically we have a little bit of a ranking system that will prioritize where the keyword term is searched based on just finding it in a note or something like that. We do have a keyword and also a help article on this topic, so we can definitely make sure to send that to you, but feel free to ask support at crelate.com if you do have any other questions here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Ian. And certainly if you guys have other questions, you can contact our support team or you can type them in now, and we certainly will get to that throughout this presentation. So going back to my search results here within Crelate, I initially did a search result of developer or sales. So show me people in my database that meets this search criteria. Now, after we are presented with these search results, there are a number of things that we can do directly from search. And so one of those things are selecting the individuals of interest and adding them to a job or adding them to a list that I might have created here. Now, for those of you who are work from a job dashboard view, you most likely are comfortable with clicking and dragging across the records that you are interested in. And at the top left, you will see here it says 8 selected records. However, a lot of times you want different records that aren't necessarily next to each other. So within Crelate, if you hold the control button, you are able to select records in a random order. And then after that, you can certainly grab those records and decide to perform any activity with them in bulk. Now, if you would like to select everyone on this list, you can grab the first person on this list and then scroll down to the bottom of this list. If you hold Shift as you select the last person, it's going to grab everyone in between this. So now in the top left-hand corner, I see I have 100 selected contacts. Now from here, I can bulk email all of these individuals. I can bulk tag them. I can add them to a job or add them to a list of mine. So directly from search with bulk email, I am able to decide what type of operation I would like to complete with these individuals in bulk. Now, a lot of times I get people who say, I want to add them to my accounting list. However, I want to create a type of list where as I add new individuals to my database, if they qualify as an accountant, they will also get generated to that list. So two things in being able to perform that. In Crelate, we don't call that a list, but we refer to that as a query. Now, a list will be a standard list where you can add people to that list and remove them when you see fit. A query will allow you to save a search result. So if you want to access it in the future, you can just click search in the top left-hand corner and do so. But also, as you add people to your database that meets this search criteria, they will automatically get aggregated to that search result for you. So later in my database, if I add more people to my database that meet the criteria of sales and developer, they will automatically get aggregated to that list for me. Now, to save a search, you can just select Save here after selecting Search in the top left-hand corner, and you can name this search and decide to share it amongst all of your users or just yourself. Another thing from Search here is how these results are displayed to you. You do have the option in the top right-hand corner to view this as a list view, as a grid view, which will mimic Excel, where you can select columns, which will be right to the left of grid, and pick and choose which columns you would like to view and in the order you would like to view that information. So once you select those columns, you will have the opportunity to click and drag on the column headers to rearrange how this information appears. Now, the nice thing about this grid view is if you choose to export this list, and if you have the ability to export data, you will have this icon in the top right-hand corner. It will automatically sort and arrange that Excel sheet export with the columns that you have selected in the order that you have selected them. You also have the opportunity right before this Excel export is generated to select any other field of information that is helpful for you. And you can toggle to only import selected records if you clicked and dragged over select records, or to have the entire search result exported to you. Now, outside of this, and sort of the more popular options with our search results here is creating more in-depth search results. So utilizing your different columns and fields and tags in Crelate to make sure you are seeing only the records that are pertinent to you for this specific search. So to do so, in the top right-hand corner of your search results, you have a button entitled Advanced. Now, once you select this, it's going to pull in your advanced search results. And you will now have the ability to select Add Filter at the top of this section here. Now, this will allow you to add a filter to narrow down your results further. Now, I will go over popular ones that we typically see users utilize. The first thing here is the results that are pulling are contacts. And I can see that because in the top right-hand corner, contacts is selected opposed to companies and jobs. If I ever wanted to search for these key terms on company records, I can unselect contacts and select companies. Also on the right-hand side, I can choose where I would like Crelate to search for the terms developer or sales. So maybe for this search result, I don't want to search through my cover letters or job descriptions, neither my miscellaneous files, as these terms will most likely appear on those documents anyway, and I don't want those terms appearing on job descriptions, miscuing my results. Now, I also have activities. Now, for this particular search, I don't want to search through activities. However, if you were looking to find a particular note or email that you might have written in the past, you can certainly keep these activities selected. And in this example, instead of selecting each of these individually, I'm going to just unselect the activities check mark, and that will remove all of them. I will then select the plus sign next to activities to collapse this field altogether. So now that my search results of developer and sales are just searching through contacts and the distinct documents that I've selected of resumes and LinkedIn profiles, I can now narrow down my search results further. So right now, I am displaying a search result. However, I know that I don't want all of these individuals. I see some people from Washington and Alabama, and I know for this particular job, they're not looking for individuals in that location. So I can use my within field here, and I can narrow down by a certain radius in a certain city or zip code, but I will prefer to narrow down by just states. Now, please note, if you are narrowing down by states, you will have to put the abbreviated version of that state. And underneath, you will see a number, and this will be the number of records based upon your search results that are within this location. So out of the 203 search results I currently have, 98 of them are located in Annapolis, Maryland, 6 in Newark, New Jersey, 7 in Philadelphia. So I can go through my list here and say, show me all individuals that are located in New York or Maryland or Pennsylvania. And I now have narrowed down to 114 results. Now above that, I will have my tag categories. And so if I want to narrow down a little bit further, I still underneath tags know that 53 of these individuals have my A ranking tag and 51 of them have 5 to 10 years of experience. But if I select my magnifying glass here, this is where I can see all of my tag categories and the options within them. So maybe for this search, I'm only looking for people who I pre-qualified and giving them an A ranking. I can select that here. Now, if I select Add Filter, I can add any other filter that I would like to narrow down these search results by. A popular one we always see is record type. Though I selected contacts, I want to be a little more specific. I'm only looking for candidate records. And I can narrow down a little bit further here. I'm going to send a bulk email out to these individuals. So I want to make sure that they have an email address on file. Now, one of the important things about our filters here, if we have the option of and, or, and not, so maybe I want to say and not records that are candidates, or I want to do the opposite, and only include records that are candidates. Now for email addresses, the and, or and not functionality for this use case is not going to be as helpful because I'm not going to put in a specific email address and say, and not this email address. I'm only looking to present records that have an email address on file. So in this case, if I select the cogwheel next to this email filter, I will have the option to say, only show records that have data in this field, that have an email address on hand. Now I can continue to go and add more filters. Another one we often see is past activity. Do not show me people who I've emailed or called regarding this job that I'm doing this search for since the beginning of this week. Now, everyone that is left, I can grab all of these individuals and send them a bulk email if need be. Now, one of the most important things about search is how they are ranked. So you can hover over these filters and reorder the way they appear. Now, your search results are going to function sort of like a sentence. So show me all records that are candidates, but not out of those records, exclude the ones that I've emailed and called regarding a specific job since the beginning of the week. And out of those records that have presented, make sure that they have email addresses on file and they have an A ranking. Now, why this is important is you can add multiple of these filters. So I can have multiple tag filters where I say, make sure all of these records have an A ranking and not records that have a tag of willing to relocate. Now, after it presents these records to you, you can certainly double select these records to look at their profile and the information that's on them. You can select resume and it will highlight where it found these terms on their resume for you. And you can do this for any view that you have. So though I am on the grid view, we also have the map view of our results. And we can select into these records from the map view and still, by selecting on the left-hand side, see the information that is displayed. You can also select resume and it will slide in their resume and highlight those terms from here as well. Now, one thing to note about search is that a lot of times we get questions. I'm always completing this search and I always just want to quickly find it. I don't want to always have to put in the record type as candidate. One of the questions we just received here. In that instance, I would complete a standard search. So if you go in the top left-hand corner and hover over search, you can start over. And maybe I just want to set myself up to say, add a filter that just has a record type of candidate. I can save this search by selecting search in the top left-hand corner and selecting save this search, and I can put in candidates. So whenever I go into search, I never have to complete this search again. I can just click this drop down and select candidates and start my search from here. Now, another new feature that we've released is allowing you to edit by date fields. And so if you scroll down, one of the filters you will have is the ability to filter by last action date, last activity or modified date, last engagement date, or last reach out date. And you will see these things if you go on a contact record as well. So we always get questions about what these fields are and how you can present these fields throughout the database. And so we'll certainly go through more detail now on what those date fields are.
Awesome. Yeah. So as Brittany noted, it's a relatively new feature to Crelate, and there's a variety of ways in which these will work automatically for you, and you can configure actually how they work. So for the updated on, these are kind of the main 5 fields that we've incorporated into the product. The updated on will work automatically for you. Basically, as you make any changes to a profile, update an email address, change a job title, that signifies a change to this updated date. The activity, as you're logging any activity, a note, a task, anything custom like an interview that you've created, that reflects there. The action date is basically when you create, basically anything and everything, while the intent is, all actions, whether I'm emailing, whether I'm, again, logging or tracking an activity. It's basically supposed to be encompassing of, a lot of different changes you're making, while the activity or modified is basically the activity with the updated. So this is going to be a very broad field. This will be the date that you probably find updates most frequently because it's as a result of someone making a note, tracking an activity, or if they actually update the profile, change the email, change the job title. So that date, you'll notice, will update pretty frequently, while the last engagement date you have more control over. So basically, with the engagement date, you can pick and choose what constitutes an engagement. But basically, the intent of engagement is for reciprocal communication. So maybe we're the ones reaching out, we're tracking the activity, we're leaving voice messages, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the contact is reaching back out to us. That's where the engagement comes into play, where you choose those filters. I see the most commonly used by Crelate customers when running pipeline overviews. So I'm looking at my team's pipeline or maybe my own pipeline, and I want to sort of track when I've reached out, but also when they've, the contact has engaged back with me. So I have multiple date fields to utilize this, so I can tell, it's been a week since I've actually logged an activity on John's profile. Maybe it's time I go back in, but then with Susie, she actually just, replied to an email yesterday, so that way our engagement date is updated. So a lot of pipeline-based usage that you can take advantage of these. Also in the search functionality, find me people who have or have not engaged with us in the last week, because maybe I want to send a bulk email and I obviously want to make sure I'm not doubling up on people that we've already sent to recently. So definitely a lot of options here. We do have a full help article in the help section of Crelate on date fields. If you just search, dates in Crelate or something like that, it'll come up for review. So if you have any questions, feel free to reference that or just reach out to us at support@crelate.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian. And we certainly see a host of questions that are coming in. So all of you that have questions or specific searches that you'd like us to do, please type them in now. While those questions are coming in, Ian is also going to go over a new feature that will be coming out and be releasing to search shortly here. So stay tuned. It will be coming in an upcoming release. While he discusses this, I will organize all of your questions so we can go over that, how to make sure it only renders the results that you're looking for. Maybe you don't want fuzzy logic with your Boolean searches. We could also go into how to search specific notes and activities that you guys are looking for, as well as go into a little bit of a deeper dive with searching with tags. So those are some of the questions I'm seeing now. So after Ian goes through this, we can certainly answer some of those specific search questions that you have.
Great, great. And yeah, Semantic Search is a very exciting feature that's coming just shortly down. It's actually the one of the most latest updates to our product roadmap. We've been in the works on this for quite some time and are hoping to debut it here within the next quarter or so. This should be released. As the date and confirmation comes up, we'll certainly let all of you guys know. So for those of you who may not be aware of really the principles behind and what semantic search is, it basically seeks to improve search accuracy by understanding you as the searcher's intent and the actual contextual meaning of the terms as they appear. So jargon aside, what does that mean? Basically, it's trying to help you and make you better at searches. Some big use cases, or maybe you bring on a new recruiter to your team and they might not know that when searching for developers, similar terms like an architect developer, an application developer, a design developer, they just may not, be made aware yet based on, their being new to the industry of which specific aligned terms that they really want to look for. So what Semantic Search will do, as you'll see in that kind of first top screenshot, is actually try some related search terms. It just asks these as a suggestion. You can turn it off altogether if you'd like, but basically it gives you suggestions that you can actually upvote and downvote on. So as they relate to you or don't relate to you, you'd be able to X out or approve it if you like it and include it into the search. So very helpful to expand searches based on similar qualifications that you're actually already looking for. It'll also do that with job titles. So you can automatically include similar job titles. So as you're running your Boolean searches for sales, it can give you suggestions like sales manager, sales representative, regional sales manager. Basically, it just tries to use smart logic, and it will actually take a pool of, all Crelate customers' data. So in order to make this smarter, it will actually use AI to learn intelligently based on keyword searches that you guys are running. So it will learn and begin to rank and prioritize things that you think are matches, things that you guys don't think are. So this will only continue to improve as it's utilized more. And as I noted, more will be coming soon. We'll definitely be hosting a full feature release webinar, of course, like we always do when this feature's debuted. So just keep in touch, and we'll be engaging with you guys soon on this.
Awesome. So I do have a lot of great questions here, and I've have them here organized so we can certainly go through some of your specific search questions here. And certainly as I go through and as new ones are coming in, I'll reach out to Ian here to let us know any new ones that you guys are still entering. So rest assured, we'll certainly get to them. So going into here, back into our database here. The first question that I received is regarding how the search results are populated here. And so you do have the ability to change the default that appears, whether it's a list view, grid view, or a map view when you first go into search. So if you select settings on the left-hand side of your screen and then my settings and preferences, it will be the second one from the top. You will have the option where it says in user interface preferences to set what type of view will be your default display mode view within search. Right now I have it on list view, but you can automatically default it to grid or map view. Also, you can set your page to present 100, 200, or an infinity scroll of results. Now, the reason that I default that to 100 is currently that is the limit for bulk emails. And so I want to make sure I can grab everyone on that page easily and bulk email them those results. Now, going back into the search result here, I did get a great question regarding the Boolean search results here. So with the Boolean search results, outside of separating terms by and, or not, you can choose to turn off that fuzzy logic should you would like to do so. So if you're looking for something such as a certain type of developer, I can say a fleet engineer, just something I see here, fleet manager. If I would not like it to search for the word fleet and manager, I will put it in quotation marks. Now, what this is doing is it's only going to present results that have the words fleet and manager together somewhere on their resume. Now, quotation marks is useful if you have two or more words. If you have something such as a particular engineer or vice president, and you don't want it to find any other variations of vice president, outside of putting that in quotation marks, you can do double quotation marks. And what double quotation marks will mean is don't find any other fuzzy logic. You know, when I put hospital, don't find hospitals or hospitality or any other variation of this word. I only want you to find specifically this word. So double quotation marks will not find any other variation of that word and will only find specifically that word. Quotation marks is strongly suggested to be used if you have two or more words. So it finds those words together and not vice and president separately in this example. Now, for any of our developers out there or those that are recruiting for more technical positions where you're looking for things like C# and things that are not just words, ampersand signs, pound signs within those resumes. For those particular terms, you will want to put that in double quotation marks as well. So I can put C# in here and make sure that I'm getting those exact search results, C#. Awesome. I'm also getting questions about sorting column results. So if you are within a grid view, some of these columns are sortable, not all of them though. So job title, company, location. If you would like to figure out if these columns are sortable, all you'll have to do is select that column header and it will sort for you in ascending or descending order. And then if you unselect, it will just go back to sorting it based on those search results. And so you can click on that header if you would like to sort your grid view by those particular column headers. I did get questions about in the top right-hand corner, when you can narrow your results down by a specific record type or documents or activities. I have a document type that I've created called LinkedIn profiles. And that is to segment the profiles that are created from our Chrome parser tool from the actual resumes that are being sent to me. So when I'm searching the database and searching through documents through that LinkedIn profile, it is not searching that contacts record and going on LinkedIn and looking for these terms on their LinkedIn. It is only searching that LinkedIn document of their profile that I added via that Chrome parser tool. And then I also have great questions about narrowing down by a radius. So our radius search is really great. You do have the option to narrow down by a certain radius of a city or zip code, or just narrow down by an area code or a state altogether. For this radius search here, if a contact does not have a location on their record, then they would be excluded from that result if you are searching by a particular location, because they would not be within that location that you are putting in here. And I also got another great question regarding activities. So some of you are looking to search through a particular activity here or find a particular activity or note on a record. You certainly can do that. So if you go to the top of the screen here and select past activity, if you know that a particular note that you wrote has a particular verbiage within that note, if you type in a couple words that you remember that you put on that note in particular, it will populate records that have a note on that contact record that has those terms that you put in. So the filter you will want to select is past activity. You will then want to select the particular activities that you are trying to search through. And then you can ignore regarding and since. Since will help narrow down that result of that note though. And then you can certainly put in anything you remember typing into that note if you are looking to find a particular note within your search. Ian, are there any other good questions that you would like to address here?
Yeah, just one last one that had come across that I thought would make sense to bring up. So someone had asked, well, something we should note is that all fields can be added again. So what do I mean by that? Well, right now we have the one location. The specific question was, can I add two locations? So yes, you can. You can actually add multiple of all the columns. So if you wanted to see a relation of people within 25 miles of Topeka or 25 miles of Washington, D.C., you can do that. You would just simply add a filter, as Brittany will do up above. So first, we'll add within the state of Maryland, and then we'll add another location option under the contact info. That way you could have a few fields to choose from. So if you ever wanted to have a variety of addresses, that is definitely an option, as it is with any column in the search.
So in this case, I can bring in a location filter and say, show me everyone within this state, but I can say, and not people who are located within this area code. Or I can say, and not people that are located within a certain miles of a certain city or zip code. A lot of times I see this for people in California, as California is very large. It will say, show me everyone in California, but please exclude people that are within these cities or within 25 miles of these cities in California. Awesome. And the other ones that I'm seeing coming in here is regarding your application questions. So that is a filter that you can utilize here. If you select Add Filter here, and underneath your other field, you will see activity responses and application form responses. And this will allow you to search through the application questions that you might have created for candidates to fill out when they are attached to a job, or your activity form questions if you have a form populate when you are within a records note or phone interview. You can select those fields and then say, and don't show me people who answered no on any of these questions. So it's going to present all of these questions that you have here, and you can select any question type. And you can say, don't show me individuals who answered no to this question. And so you can use this to narrow down your search results as well. Should you be looking into a job and want to find people with certain qualifications, this is certainly helpful in also narrowing down those results. Any last minute questions here, Ian?
Nope, I think we're now all set.
Awesome. So if there's any additional questions regarding search, please feel free to reach out to support@crelate.com, and we certainly can assist you with that. If you guys are trying to complete any similar searches to what we did today, and you're having a little bit of trouble on your end, please feel free to certainly email us and we can walk you through how you can complete that search within your specific database. But we thank all of you for taking the time out today to attend this webinar, and we hope you have a great rest of the week.